Hey, how's it going? This is Joe and Tell. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the VAVA Ultra Short Throw Projector as well as the VIVIDSTORM ALR motorized screen. Alright, so first of all, I've seen a lot of videos about the VAVA and the VIVIDSTORM. These guys are out there promoting it. I actually met the VAVA team over there at this year's CES, and they were a super cool group of people, and they were just out there having fun, and I was very interested in reviewing the product, and so I asked them there. I want one of those. Finally, they got a hold of me. I got a hold of them somehow, and we end up, kind of connecting and figuring out a way for me to check out this projector. Now, that was months ago, and since then, they've been telling me over and over, hey, is the video ready? Is the video ready? And these guys are the most persistent. If you're a YouTube reviewer, you know this is true. These guys are very persistent, and so, as they should be, this is not an inexpensive projector. And yeah, there was a lot of things that happened from January to now. I'm sure you guys might know about those things. So anyway, shout out to the VAVA team. You guys are very persistent. Good job. So after all of these months, here are some of the takeaways from using this projector on a regular basis. And in no particular order, I just have some notes here on my phone. Okay, so normally in my living room, I use a normal projector, not an ultra short throw, just a relatively inexpensive compared to some of the crazy projectors that you see out there. I think around the $1,500 price range. And, I've liked the projector, and, I use it on a regular basis. So I'm basing this review on a comparison of that particular projector. Now, the first thing that I noticed compared to my other projector is this VAVA was very bright. So I'm not going to run over all the specs. You can check it out on their website. But I noticed this was significantly brighter than the other one that I use on a regular basis. And that is very useful. I don't have a dedicated theater, so there's ambient light coming in from all different sources. There's a window here. Sometimes we have the lights on. And on a normal projector, that can look a little bit washed out compared to something like this. With this amount of brightness, you can use it with the sun out. And it's very viewable, and, I wouldn't complain. I don't think anybody really would. The other thing I noticed is because this is a laser projector, it was much faster to turn on and off. If you're a projector owner, you know that you just kind of have to deal with the time waiting for that to turn on. This is much faster to turn on as well as turn off. The other thing that's awesome about a laser projector is that the bulb life is much longer than a typical bulb. And so I shouldn't even say bulb. The laser life is much longer than a typical bulb. Okay, so I learned a few things having an ultra short throw projector that I didn't really think of before. I just thought, hey, ultra short throw, that sounds good to me. And so here are some of the things. First thing is that it needs to be pulled away a certain distance from the screen to get the actual screen size that you want, right? So it can't be right up against the screen. And because of that, I had a hard time positioning this in my normal position because there's a shelf there and the shelf doesn't really go out far enough. So I had to put something there to make that work at the size that I wanted it to be. And so that's something you may want to consider. Where are you going to place this thing, and how far does it actually have to be to project that image size? The other thing is that it needs to be at a certain height also. You can't just have it at any particular height that you feel. In order for it to project, you have to control that. So it's almost like if you're considering an ultra short throw projector, you may want to consider where are you going to place this first. You're going to have to kind of work everything around where that's going to be placed. The other thing that I didn't consider is I have a home theater set up, and the center channel is where the projector needs to be. So where am I going to put the center channel? It can't be on top of it. Below it? I don't know. So that's something you may want to consider as well, whether you're going to do a phantom center image and just not use a center channel. I recommended to them, maybe it's something to look into where you could possibly use this VAVA as the center channel because it's there anyway, and it does have some decent speakers, and I'll get into that in a second. So depending on how you have this set up, the sound does sound pretty good out of these Harman Kardon speakers. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I tried it out, and they're not crazy. Like, it's not gonna be a home theater experience, but it did have a pretty convincing Atmos soundstage. I did some of the Atmos demos. I know that that's not what they're going for, but I was pleasantly surprised that some of those effects did sound pretty realistic. And so maybe if you're using this in a smaller room and you don't have speakers, it might be ample sound for you. But for me, if you're going to set up a 100-inch screen, I think you should have some proper speakers. And so something to consider, what speakers are you going to use? The speakers can't be too close to it, because if they are, it can cast a shadow on the screen. So all these different things that you have to consider. As I stated earlier, I do have a BenQ HT3550 projector that I use on a regular basis. Those are known for having very, very good colors right out of the box, because they do calibrate them beforehand. And I noticed that this one, compared to that, didn't really have the same kind of color reproduction as the BenQ, but that can be fixed. I don't have any access to calibration tools, and I'm not gonna hire a calibrator to come out and do this at this moment, but you can get this dialed in pretty good. There are some settings that I found online. I'm gonna copy and paste them down below and link to that article. But after using some of those settings, the colors, the accuracy was significantly better. And so I'm happy to see that they do give you some options to tweak those settings. They also have a high and low mode for the brightness. I did notice that on high mode, yes, you get a little bit more brightness, but that fan goes on a lot more often than when you have it in standard mode. Also, there's a slight shift in color when you go to high mode, and so I found that it was more consistent when I kept it on standard, so that's where I have it at now. Since I've gotten this did have a few firmware updates that address stuff like 3D, so now it has 3D capabilities. I've not gotten a chance to try that, and they've made changes to their HDR. And so, you know, both of those I haven't really gotten a chance to try. I don't have a ton of HDR content to try out, but from what I've seen, the HDR content looked good. I would say better than the other projector that I have here, just simply because it's brighter. So it's able to project those vibrant colors better than this other projector here. Now, I'm not a projector expert. I defer to some other reviewers when it comes to that, but that's just something that I noticed. One other thing that I did notice is that they have a way to focus the screen, and it has motor, so that's handy, so you can sit back in your viewing position and check the focus there. But what I noticed is I couldn't really get the corners sharp. I don't know if that's a thing with all ultra short throw projectors, but there was no way that I could get the center sharp and the corners sharp. So I've seen this in other reviews of this projector as well, and so it's not a knock on that, but if you're a person who's really into sharpness, which I am, that's something that's a little bit concerning to me, because it never felt like, man, this is tack sharp, this is perfectly sharp. Yeah, I never really got that sensation. So I'm not sure if that's a problem with my unit specifically. I just figured you should know if that's an issue you're having, then let me know in the comments below. The other thing that you should know is that you need a very good screen with this. If you think you're gonna just, project this onto your normal wall, what you're gonna find out is what I found out: your wall is not even. All right, it might look even to you, but this thing exposes any irregularities in that surface. And so you need a nice screen. So I have a screen that I use over here, and also VIVIDSTORM, they sent me this motorized projector screen that's really handy. I think they kind of go hand in hand. These two go really well together. And in some ways, I'm equally, if not more, impressed with this VIVIDSTORM screen as I am with the projector itself. I'm really impressed with this thing. So I think it's because the laser projector and the ultra short throw is projecting from the bottom up, but it really shows defects in ways that a normal projector wouldn't. So I've tried it. I've tried it with normal projector. You project onto a slightly irregular wall, and it's okay, watchable. Maybe all the lines aren't perfect, but with this ultra short throw, it looks ridiculous. Like the waves look crazy over there. So something to consider. You definitely need a very flat and even surface if you're going to be using this. Now, onto that VIVIDSTORM screen. I'm very impressed with it. Let's jump into that real quick. So I know it's kind of a weird thing, but the remotes on these they're both good. I should mention that the remote on the VAVA, if you're using HDMI ARC, CEC. This will actually control a lot of the functions. And so I have it connected to an Android TV box, and this actually can control all that, right? Volume and everything. So I thought that was handy. Navigating around, you can use this remote. So I thought that was cool. Now this one from the VIVIDSTORM is cool. It's just a simple up, down, stop, and they have different color options. So they all look kind of the same. I chose a white one because most of the other ones I have here are black, so it's easier to distinguish with this one. The thing that I was not expecting with this VIVIDSTORM screen is they include this little USB port that you plug into the back of the VAVA, I guess with any projector really, and it detects when it turns on. And so what happens is you turn on the VAVA and automatically the VIVIDSTORM starts to come up. You turn it off, it comes down. I think that's so cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm just basic, but I thought that was awesome. So when they sent me this VIVIDSTORM screen, I was not expecting how huge of a box this is. The box itself was like 9 feet long, 8 feet, something crazy. And so it was hard to maneuver and get that thing in here. I don't live in a huge spot. And so as you can tell here, I'm not using this in an optimal position. If you had your own man cave, yeah, I'm sure you could figure that out. But in this space, I really had to try to struggle to get this to work. And that box was huge. To have to tear that thing down, just something to be aware of. The good thing about that is that it was protected. So I know that it did not get damaged in the shipping. And so that was cool. I'm okay with that. The one thing I noticed about this is when it's closed, the lid is closed, it's slightly uneven. It's not perfectly shut. Now, they sent these to me, and so I'm not too upset. But if I bought this, I would want that to be perfectly flat. And so I did contact VIVIDSTORM about it. They have something that you can use to adjust that. I didn't find that it helped very much. I noticed that it does adjust the max height, things like that, but it still didn't fix that issue. Maybe it's something else that I'm going to have to follow up with them to take a look at. But if you're having that issue, leave it in the comment below, and let's see if it's an issue that other people are having as well. The other thing that I did not consider is with this screen, this motorized screen, it's not flat up against the wall, right? So it's kind of has some crossbars in the back that kind of support it, and some wires to keep it from, from waving too much. But when I have the AC on, the thing moves, right? So as I said, that all the movement in a screen is accentuated by this ultra short throw. So when that AC blows, it really starts moving the screen around, and it looks kind of ridiculous. You don't think of those things, right? Something to consider as well. The other thing that I noticed about this screen is that ALR, ambient light rejection, really works. It really works well on the screen. It makes a huge difference. I mean, I have lights on. I have these lights on. These are pretty bright. I can have all the lights on, and this image is still very viewable. And I compared it. I was playing some fireworks, and so of course fireworks, you need the blacks to be black, and you need it to be very vibrant. That's what you want. And so I had a little bit of ambient light coming in, and I compared this one with the other projector that I have over there. Not even close. It's like we were watching two different things. So great job when it comes to that sort of thing. I would highly recommend this screen here. I think it's awesome. It's not the cheapest screen, but it handles business. So who do I think this setup is for? So it's kind of tricky because it's not cheap, right? These are not inexpensive, right? Go take a look at them right now. You'll see they're not inexpensive. But at the same time, I don't think they're for that person who wants the ultimate home theater, right? It's not for that person because they're going to want probably a dedicated projector system. They're going to definitely want a center channel. So this makes it difficult when you're using all those things, right? They're probably going to have their own screen. It's probably going to be a dedicated theater. So not necessarily for that situation, but I think it's more suited for somebody who's interested in having the biggest screen possible and not willing to spend on a TV that's this size. I mean, these can go 100 inches and up. And so I think you would have to spend way more to get a TV that size. So I think this is actually the closest that you can get to getting that TV experience where it's bright and vibrant, the colors look great, without actually buying a TV, without actually having a man cave where all the light is controlled. This is the closest that you're going to get to that without having to spend, ridiculous, like crazy money. So I think that is their target market. And if that's the case, I think they're hitting the price points for that target market. So I'm not a gamer, so I can't talk about the gaming experience on this. I just don't have time to play games. So I can't tell you about that, but you can take a look at the specs. I'm not sure that this is made specifically for that. It might not be bad. I don't know. The last thing I want you to consider, so I don't want you to think that, that this is a negative review, because it's really not. I think they serve a particular purpose, but there's just things that you want to think about before purchasing something like this. For example, if you have kids, my projector is up on the ceiling. My kids can't do anything to that. Whereas on this, the button's right there and at a height where they can all reach. So I find that we'll be watching something and the little one will go and turn the thing off, or they'll turn it on. And so, it kind of just gets you thinking, like, I didn't consider that. So do consider those things before going out and purchasing these. The other thing to consider about this VAVA is that it does have its own operating system. I wouldn't use that. Just buy a Fire Stick or some inexpensive system. I think it's going to be better than the Android operating system that they have on here. Although if that's all you have and you don't want to buy something, you can use it, but no, don't use that. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. And I'll leave a link to both of these products down below. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you for supporting me and allowing me to do what I love to do here on YouTube. If you're interested in becoming a patron, patreon.com/JoeandTell. Take care. Bye-bye. I did it, VAVA. I did it. VIVIDSTORM, it's done. You can stop emailing me now.